Hey, Dylan, can you hear me? Still pretty new at this. Oh. Hey, guys, what's up? Thanks for showing up. I haven't gotten started yet. I'm going to build my watch list. I thought I would do it live. I used to do this a while back. Right now, I'm trying to. How did you guys find me on Twitter? Or do you get some kind of notification when I broadcast? Yeah, but how'd you find out I was doing this? I got to figure out how this whole thing works. From YouTube followers. Gotcha. Okay, subscribing to the YouTube channel. All right, thanks for the answers. If anyone follows me on Twitter, go on there and retweet it if you can. I don't even know if it'll make a difference, but hi, Shirley. Thanks, Jeff. All right, I guess that's why everyone you watch YouTube videos, they always say, "Hey, subscribe to my channel." I get it now, so then they get alerts. Did y'all trade today? How'd you do? Oh, thanks, Dylan. All right, I'm going to get started here, so let's see. Whoops. Good morning, huh? Where are you, Kevin? All right, so let's hopefully there'll be some value in this. I'm going to show you what I do every night to build a watch list for the next day. I figured it was something like that. Thanks for the kind words. I hate to say this to you, but we're all still in the learning phase. I was pretty terrible today. I ended up green by whatever, almost $300, but I spent most of the day screwing up. So I'm getting ready to show you guys how the sausage is made. Bear with me a minute. Yeah, you know, speaking of ZSAN, that is insane, by the way. I did not trade this thing. For those of you that were in chat today, I mentioned it here. Like 275 might be a good, if this seller got taken out. And it went up a little bit. I didn't take it. But just being honest with you guys and being honest with myself, if I'd have taken this, I would have sold some through the high of day. And then guess what? I'd have been back out the rest right there. And then it did that. The first time I traded this all day, right when it went through 5 right here. And it ended up going up, you know, over $1.50 from there. I took it small and I didn't make much, but I made a few bucks anyway. All right, so what I was going to show you, every night, again, retweet my tweets if you can. I'm trying to get some people in here. Every night, I build a watch list for the next day. So here's where I start. Can you see that? I always start with my watch list from today, or I should say for today. Hang on. I can chew ice because I can be less formal in the evenings, right? Like I'm formal during the day. So I always start with a watch list from the night before and the gap playlist from today. So I'm just kind of showing it to you here. And before I even look at any scans, let me get that out of the way now. I go through that entire list, right? I go through my gap play watch list. Any that I put on my overnight or throughout the day, I put a couple in my notes. I'll show you where those are. Hang on. These two are a couple that I put on my watch list today as the day was unfolding. It always goes right next to daily watch list. All of these, that's the watch list from today that I had going into today. And then these are the gappers from this morning. So before I do anything else, I go through this entire list. Let me look at Jack's IPCI real quick. I gotta hide this thing. Jack, what do you see there? What are you so enamored with in IPCI? There's like a 20-second delay on this, so I'll wait. I'll have another sip. I went to the fridge to go grab a beer. I thought it'd be fun to have a beer and do this. I don't have anything. Not one beer in the fridge. Jack, you still here? $0.40 inflection. Yeah, I see what you're looking at. I mean, it gapped up yesterday, topped out at 43 today, put in the lower high, big volume yesterday, lower high at 40. But falls into the category to me of one that never really rips. You know, when I put a stock on Gap Play Watch, one of the big things I look at is all the daily candles going back like 6 months. Has this thing ripped in the, and what I'd like to see is that it ripped in the past few months. So I honestly don't have much of an opinion. I mean, look what it did back here. Way more volume than 10 million shares. It had 12.5 million and then did this. I have no opinion on that whatsoever. and it could go up to $1 tomorrow, I wouldn't go back and say I was wrong. I just have no opinion. Okay, so starting my watch list, right? I'm going to look at everything I had on the Gap playlist first. That's what I always do. And you know what? I'm just going to go through them. And if I have something that's interesting for tomorrow, I'll talk about it. Otherwise, I'll just keep going. All right. ZSAN. First one on my watch list. Now, stupid extended, but anytime something trades 77 million shares and closes that strong, we got to watch it tomorrow. So, and that should be on watch. Barring an offering or something that destroys it, it should be on watch for the next straight week, I would say. PLRX, a little bit interesting. I mean, excuse me, when you're panned out like this and you see this long sideways move and all of a sudden 10 million shares and it closed kind of strong, and let's zoom in now. I don't love it, but I'm going to put it on watch. It's going to make the watch list for tomorrow. Let's keep going. ASTC. Don't even like it a little bit. I do like this one. All right, why do I like this? Big move back here. 10 million shares. It went from 97 cents to $1.65. Spent about 2 weeks coming down and then going sideways. Nobody cared about it. Then all of a sudden, a few days ago, on decent relative volume, see that right there? Bigger than the 2 weeks before. It pops up to 130. Then sells off. So look at that. Sellers are like, ha! Anyone who jumped in long is an idiot. Next thing you know, it's right back up. So this one's pretty interesting. Over, I'm going to say 130. I'm definitely putting this on long watch. Write in my notes 131. This one, I traded this today, and I think I made a sandwich. Right, when this went red to green right here, those of you in chat know that I traded this. Let's go to 2-minute candles. So there's the opening candle. It was on the Gap playlist. Next thing you know, it comes right back up. I got long right there, looking for the red to green high of day break, and then we pan out a little bit. Looking for that push through 130, and then it had room. I just showed you the daily, right? Looked really good. Got long right there. Big volume came in, and then right back down. So as we teach, got long there, got that move, got the volume, and the second it just came, it didn't take out that 130 I was looking for. I just hit out of it, right? I thought, you know what? If this all of a sudden gets massive volume and takes out 130, I'll get long again. So I basically had a flat. I think I made a sandwich out of it. But let's go back to 5-minute candles here. It did end up working its way back up near the highs for the day. Let's look at it on 15s. Most people, I think most traders would look at this and say, hey, that's kind of compelling. Let me make this. Let's go to 60s. Right? Doesn't look bad. Big volume here. Came down, found support, little pop here, and then right back up. This looks really good over 130. These are 60-minute candles. I like this one a lot. Well, I like it. I shouldn't say I like it a lot. Sorry. All right. BOXL, nothing interesting to me. Again, going through the gappers from this morning. All right, so nothing there either. So let me delete the gappers. And now I'm gonna look at those two I put in my notes, BTX, which I just talked about that. I can take, and then NIO is also in my notes. This one's kind of interesting. It's not that compelling when you just glance at this chart, but back here, 778, right? See that? After the sort of cup and handle breakout attempt here that failed, then it bounced to 778. Yesterday, 777. Today, kind of an inside day. But look at this is what drew my attention. This one right here, 15-minute candle. So over the course of about an hour, it ran from like 720 to almost 780 on pretty good volume. Then today, a lower high, kind of a cup and handle. I think this is it's obscure, but I think it's worth having on watch because if it breaks this area, that gets cleanly over 780 on volume, I think we could take out 8 and maybe retest this high. So I do kind of like that one. All right, so then what NIO was? Oh, yeah. Okay, let's look at that real quick. All right, so you can kind of see where the volume started. This was the open today. This was, see where the volume ends. This was the close. Do you know if it had news, Mark? It's up a little bit in after hours. Certainly worth watching. Let me get after hours off there again now. By the way, if you're a member in our chat room or you're not a member, I don't care which. If you have any questions or comments, fire away. I'm watching on YouTube, the chat room, so I'm happy to answer anything. Thanks, Mark. Good. It really is my goal to get people to learn to trade the right way. Day trading, family aside, I have to put that caveat in there, but family aside, day trading is the best thing that ever happened to me, right? Obviously, my wife and kids come first. You all know that, but day trading is what got me out of a job that I despised. And the alarm clock goes off in the morning. I don't care. I'm not I'm not in a bad mood. I'm happy. I'm ready to go, get out of my bed and go 2 rooms over and go to work. You've been asking me that question. I tried to answer you. I knew you weren't in chat, and then I thought, well, next time he shows up, he'll ask me, right? How do you handle buy zone plays with your stop? First of all, and let me see if I can think of a good example today. Keep in mind, a buy zone has to be, something that was really strong. So I'm trying to think if I have an example from today. I'm just going to glance at ZYNE, but I don't know. I meant to say ZSAN, the strongest stock in the whole world today, right? So let's just say you were looking to get long in the buy zone, maybe near the 520 right here, okay? Strongest stock in the world, and this is literally the first visit after a double on the day. It's the first visit to the kind of anywhere near the 520, right? Let's just say I'll take this out. Kind of right in the middle of these two lines, I think you'd agree is probably right here. Let's just say you had a bid at 450. If you were smart, you might be looking for a flush of the half, like we look for a flush of whole numbers, right? But anyway, let's say you had a bid right at 450. My worst case stop, and this is looking for it to come down here, probably 430, right? In this case, kind of cleanly below the 520, right? That and this isn't a great example because this thing had traded like 1 billion shares already, but so it does come down to the middle of the buy zone, a little bit past that, but it doesn't pierce the 520. So if you had a bid at 450, I would say worst case, again, 430, so 20 cents. But if I do that, and I got filled at 450 right here, I always try to be honest with myself, because it's really easy to look at a chart and say, well, here's what I would have done, right? But when you've been trading long enough, you start to get to know yourself, and you start to get to know how stocks act and so on. So if I get long at 450 and I'm going to kill it at 430, even though on an R basis, it doesn't make sense to sell some on this bounce, I would sell some. If I get long at 450, I'm selling some on this first bounce, and my stop's at 450. So I'm probably getting stopped out right here at 446. If you're one of these people, there's one way to look at it. Just think if you were playing a 520 touch. So you've got a bid at 442 right here. Look at this. You get, well, actually it went down to 443, but at the time the 520 came up a little bit. Anyway, then you got a really nice pop, right? But again, I'm a realistic person. If I have a bid at 450, kind of right in the middle of the buy zone, and to be honest with you, I would have had my bid since it chopped around here for a little bit. You know, I kind of like what we call shape to the buy zone. Since you chopped around here a little bit, I would have been looking for a flush of 450. So I probably would have had my bid in the mid to low 440s. That's easy to say now, and I always try to caution people, hey, I know what happened. So you can kind of skew things yourself by accident. But I am fairly confident because of this chopping around here. If I'm looking for a buy zone bid, I would have been looking for a flush of the half, which would have been a nice little entry. It chopped around for a little bit before popping, though. But long story short, to answer your question, if I'm bidding in a buy zone on a really strong stock, and this isn't a great example because look how this chopped around up here. For me, a buy zone bid would be like here. See these two red candles? This is the pullback I'd be looking for. Didn't get to the 5s buy zone, but I bet if we switch to 2s, that's probably that same area right there. So, or you could also even look here. Huge move. Look at this turn right in the middle of 2's buy zone. Like, that's your grab. And I talk about this all the time. When you have when you identify the strongest stock on the planet, and the monster move came right here, from here to here, right? Look at this. This went from, I'll give you some numbers here. This went from 265 to over 350 without visiting the middle of the 2's buy zone, right? So remember what I say in chat all the time. You need to get in the habit of saying, okay, strongest stock in the world. In the past, what would I have said? I would have said, I missed it. You know, now I try to get in the habit of where can I get in if this pulls back? Watch this in the middle of 2's buy zone. Right there. I mean, just right there and then takes off. That's a great entry, right? You see it? What about 265 earlier in the morning? Well, you know what? Somebody asked that today. And I was trying to be, again, honest with myself and honest with them. For me, I wouldn't have taken this. Reason being, it gapped up, sold off, takes out the low of day, then takes out the high of day. And then I felt like this was a failed breakout, right? Because it topped out here. Next thing you know, it's breaking the high of day, and then it's kind of tanking. The volume was pretty light, though. So in hindsight, it's really easy to see because we know what it did. But again, I think I'm pretty good at looking at stuff like this and deciphering whether or not I would have taken it. And in this case, I wouldn't have. I would have felt like, okay, failed breakout is probably heading down, shorts are in control. So Look at that, though. I mean, huge move, but not for me. But once you have this move from the 260s to almost 350 without touching the twos buy, look at this buy. My mouse is right here. I'm following the twos buy zone, right? Between the 8 and the 20. Look at it. Didn't touch it. It was so strong it wouldn't even come into the twos buy zone. This right here, strongest stock in the world, is worth a bid in the middle of twos buy zone. And right there was your chance. Right there. And it never looked back. Now, did I get it? No, I didn't. Can you comment on watching level 2 and what market maker accumulation may look like? Watching SKYS today, I was given the impression, but I really don't know. You know what? I didn't mess with SKYS today. As far as I know, that was a service, a guy that runs a service calling this thing, and that's where your volume spikes came from. I'm not that interested in SKYS, and my only reason being, for one, I'm pretty sure the news on this day that I'm hovering over here, where it went from 65 cents to $1.58, pretty sure the news sounded terrible. And then, the chart's kind of telling you, see the topping tail here, then you had one here, then you had one here. This thing is getting slapped down. So for me, it's not really interesting anyway. Plus the news sounded crappy. So as far as people teaching you market maker accumulation, it's not an easy sentence. I don't really have an opinion. People throw out all kinds of terminology that they've heard, right? And market maker accumulation is one of them. Even MACD crossovers, all this crap that I would never even consider. You'll see people saying, if you follow Twitter, you'll see people saying, big buyers are stepping in. This is mutual funds. I've seen the dumbest posts on Twitter where there's a group of people, we call them the Twitter Fun Bunch, and I won't name anybody. But I'll see them say stuff like, this stock's getting volume, big boys are stepping in, and it'll be like 1 in the afternoon, and it's traded 40,000 shares on the day. So, I don't know. I don't give a lot of weight to just there's a lot of stupid stuff out there, for lack of a better term, right? What's your thoughts on ACB? All the pot stocks it looks like you're talking about. PYX, AXIM, I don't know anything about, and Cara. I don't really, you see, here's the thing. I'm not an investor, Christina, and so keep that in mind. I start every day with an overnight watch list, which I'm in the middle of creating here today. And then I add a gap playlist, but I'm in cash every night. So, people will say, hey, what about this news story? What about the increased revenue on this stock? I'm not an investor, right? I just want to log in each morning, pull some money from the market, get to cash, and that's exactly where my comfort zone is. I mean, and that's what day trading is, right? I've been doing this forever. And so that is where I sleep well. And so I just trade my watch list. If I get an A+ setup, I try to find end of day charts that look good to me. I try to, add to that a morning gap playlist, right? And then I wait for an intraday A+ setup, preferably one of the setups we teach, and then I get involved. All of my entries are such that, hey, this should work right away because this seller's getting taken out and there's 2 catalysts just above, and it's a recent high flyer and it's got a low float and it's had recent good news. There's like 3 or 4 reasons why I take every trade. I'm not always right, but I can give you 3 or 4 reasons why I enter when I enter. And so every trade I take, and this is something that I think newer traders need to learn, every trade I take should work right away. based on 2 or 3 different things. Otherwise, I'm just in cash and I won't take a trade. And then assuming it starts to work, scale out into that. Let me give you an example from today. KNDI. Strongest stock in the world yesterday, right? Well, at one point it was. Wayne called this, by the way, yesterday, right through 750. I'll show you 2-minute candles to show you why he called it yesterday. It's one of our favorite gap play setups. So it gaps up on good news, by the way, pops up, sells off. These are 2-minute candles. Wayne calls it, by the way, topped out right at a half number. We teach whole number, half number, quarter number, like 25 and 75. We have free webinars about inflection points. And this half number, it topped out literally 1 minute into the session. Wayne is saying, by the way, guys, KNDI, keep an eye on it. It topped out right at the half, right at 750. Then it does everything we look for. It sells off. So we view this candle as sellers coming in. If these sellers fail, they're in trouble. Plus, we have a seller at the half number inflection point. Wayne called this through 750. Look what happens. These are 2-minute candles. So 2, 4, 6, 8 minutes later, it's up 87 cents. Right? If you're a day trader, this is the only trade you need. You can go take the rest of the day off. You got what you were looking for, right? Again, today, let's fast forward to today. Pretty much the same thing, right? It closed kind of weak, but remember, it had good news yesterday. A lot of people watching it today because of this big move it made yesterday. This time, you don't have the whole number or half number inflection point, but it tops out at 860. Opening 2-minute candle. What happens here? Sellers come in. What are these sellers going to do? Sellers, you could replace the word shorts for sellers. What are they going to do if this takes out the high? They're probably going to cover because it was the strongest stock in the world yesterday. And now sellers came in at the open. I called this long over 860 today. Look what happens. What is that, 8 minutes, 6 minutes? From 860, it went to 920 something, right? These are the kind of entries we look for. And this was all born out of me being a frustrated trader saying, oh my God, every trade I get in, I'm red right away. I just felt like I had to come up with a better way. I got sick of losing money. I got sick of being underwater. Once you're underwater in a stock, then all these things start popping in your head. What do I do now? Should I buy more because I can average down? And that, that's the beginning of the end of a day trader, right? The kiss of death. So I thought to myself, I had to develop a better way. So now I sit in cash unless and until I have a great setup, right? Thanks, Alan, that should work right away. So there's a great example right from today and right from yesterday. Both of these entries, look at my arrow. Both of these entries were called in our chat room. Right here, look what happens if you grab it right here. Are you underwater ever? No, you're just scaling out in a straight. Same here, today. Are you underwater if you take this here? No, you're just figuring out when to sell. Z-Sand today, I didn't get involved in this stupid thing until right here. I literally took this through 5 right here. We called this in chat. Now, it popped up and went up 24 cents, massive volume. Could have had a nice trade just from here to here. If you happen to hold through the pullback, you had a monster trade. But all of these entries are where you should be green right away. I feel really frustrated. I feel like a really frustrated trader right now. You know what? Trading is the hardest thing you'll ever do. And that's why people in our chat room will tell you, Mike, that's me, Mike has disdain for a couple people out there that whenever you're looking up anything trading related, their faces pop up. And I'm not going to go into it tonight because my wife said it brings out the ugly side of Mike, right? But there are people out there that are just destroying new accounts, right? They advertise heavily. You cannot avoid finding them. And if you're a new trader, they're the first ones you're going to go to because they will take screenshots of these massive gains, right? And then they'll put those on Twitter. And then if I was a new trader, I would absolutely pay for their service. Why? Because I want to make a bunch of money trading, right? And then you log in. Oh, let me try to find this. I got a great example. I did this the other night. Hold on a second here. And then you log into their service. This is an old screenshot. This is a great example. This is somebody who advertises heavily. I mean, you can't avoid finding this person. Here it is. Okay? Right here shows you the time frame of the candles I'm showing you, right? 1 minute candles. So this, as a matter of, just as a side note, this morning, the morning that this happened, this is KBSF. Wayne and I were on the mic in the chat room saying, guys, beware of this KBSF. It's a nasty trader. Plus, we think room XYZ is going to call this. And what this guy does is he calls stocks. They open. Keep in mind, 1 minute candle. 1 minute. This all happened. And this was the open. So it opens. He's telling people, oh, I just bought some KBSF. I just bought some more KBSF. All these new traders that clicked on his ad, they're like, oh, wow, KBSF is going to go to $10, whatever he's claiming. And they're piling in right. Keep in mind, these are 1 minute candles. And there is a delay from when he speaks into his mic till it gets to these traders' speakers, to when it gets to their brain, to when they click their mouse. So he's probably buying here. You're hearing that he's buying it by the time it's up here. All of his members are pouring in here, and he's selling. And then he makes a video that night. I made $1,400. Imagine buying 2 or 3 or 4,000 shares. You're a brand new trader. This guy makes, I don't know, he averages 3,000, 4,000 a day. Imagine that. So obviously this is the guy to follow. So by the time he tells you he's bought it, you're getting long here. Because again, 1 minute candle. You take 2,000 shares because you're pretty sure this guy's the real deal. And this is at least going to go to 550, right? 5's right there. He's probably telling you, ooh, if this breaks 5, right? So you're thinking 2,000 shares. I'm going to sell it at 550. That's going to be a 60-cent gain. It's $1,200 in a matter of minutes. I'm a day trader. I'm a professional. I'm going to be rich. This is my profession. I'm going to get out of the grind, the 9 to 5. So you get long here. Did I tell you these guys? Did I tell you these are 1 minute candles? 2,000 shares, 490. Next thing you know, you're going, what the hell just happened? You're selling it all at 390. These are 1 minute candles. Did I mention that? This right here is a perfect example. There's no setup. You never buy anything. How many members are in here? How many chat room members are in here? Can you give me a Y or a yes? And I know there's like a 20-second delay. Can you give me a Y or a yes if you're a chat room member? And I'll wait. But then my follow-up question after you type that in is, would I ever tell you guys to buy as the stock's running in the opening minute? Would I ever, in a million years, would I ever tell you to buy as the stock's running in the opening minute? And I'll wait for those answers next. This is absolutely something we teach you not to do. So the point of this rant is that there's people out there that teach this. So back to your question, you feel like a frustrated trader, and I don't know that you've ever been in a chat room at all or whatever, and I'm not trying to sell you on mine. I am trying to tell you that there's some terrible, terrible people out there that they are making so much money off of selling this dream, and then they teach you to buy on the way up. Now, why do they do that? A couple reasons. One, this might have run to 6 and then they look like a genius, you're still going to blow up your account. If you're chasing the opening 1-minute candle on a low floater like KBSF and you make $2,000 or $3,000, I promise you a month from now, you won't be trading anymore because you'll think this is a viable strategy and there'll be a stock that does this, even if KBSF didn't, and you'll get your ass handed to you and you'll be done, right? That's one reason. But two, if it doesn't work, this same person that called this, he put out a video that night. I made $1,400 in KBSF, right? And the comments under the video are people that probably sold down here and said, man, you're awesome. I just got to get better. So this is my favorite example in the world of the crap that's out there. And my goal is to make it such that if I get hit by a truck tomorrow, our members, especially the ones that have taken the course, our members will absolutely know what to look for every morning and know when to get involved, whether or not I'm alive. Yeah, you know what, Christina? If you can trade the first hour, which Eastern time is 9:30 to 10:30. If you can trade the first hour, I honestly believe you can make a decent living day trading. And I actually would take that a step further and say, I honestly believe that's a great way to make a living because most traders will verify this. Once that first hour and a half is over, the market goes into a sideways chop and there's not that many opportunities. So if you can learn to trade and trade the first hour or hour and a half, and then no matter what happened that day, you just cut off and you just go do your thing, you could make a good living. I honestly believe that. And I believe you might be better off than somebody who sits through the whole day. Sorry, I'm chewing ice. Because a lot of times people that trade all day, they get bored out of their mind and they take boredom trades. And there's nothing I hate more than making a bunch of money in the morning and then spending my afternoon giving it back. So usually 98% of the time, if I have a good morning, I'm basically done for the day. All right, anyway, I'm going to go back to building my watch list because I got way behind on that. If there's any other questions, let me know. All right, so let me figure out where I was. So I've got on the list so far. ZSAN, obviously. VLRX is on my list. BTX. Love this over 130. ANDI is something that, in my opinion, because of this volume and this move, it's tired right now. But if you have like, I don't know what I call a peripheral monitor, right? Not your main monitor, but I think it's not going to be on my watch list. But I am going to throw it on a chart, right? In case it gives a really low risk setup. All right. And Christina, I don't know if you know my story. Some people do, some people don't. But I'm not a big fan of people emailing me and saying, hey, I don't have the luxury of sitting in front of a computer, so I can't day trade like you. You're lucky. All right. Well, I'm self-taught from a laptop and an air card. You might not even know what an air card is. While building cars on a General Motors assembly line. That is my story in short. The very short version, but it is the absolute truth. So I'm not a big fan of people telling me, well, my lifestyle, my job doesn't allow me, because I absolutely knew I wanted to be a day trader and I never gave up, and I worked a lot of hours and went through a lot of tribulations to get where I am. ADOM is a little bit interesting. Popped up back here to 51.6 and then today hit 51. But I'm not a huge fan of the under $1 stock, so I'm gonna keep moving. I just put the SPY on. I don't day trade the SPY. Yeah, Christina, my best advice to you, and again, I'm not here to sell you anything. There's some really good people out there that are really good traders. But I mean, honest to God, my advice to you is don't follow someone who comes off like a car salesman, right? Where if they advertise on YouTube or they advertise on Twitter, or they advertise on StockTwits, I don't believe your best interest is in their heart. That's my nicest way I can put it. Floating lanterns, cool name for one, and two, that's awesome. Yeah, again, you have to have the passion. You can't just be someone who says, yeah, that might be cool. I mean, definitely, it was a passion of mine. I understood what it could give me, right? And I don't mean Ferraris and all that. I just mean the freedom. I just wanted to be my own boss. It's to me, that's everything. I told my kids for years, you do something you love for a living. You never, what's the old saying? You never have to work another day in your life. I don't care what you do. I mean, there's a few caveats to that statement, but you get the point. Let's see. Craig was on my gap playlist. Yeah, I already went over that one. TLRY. Again, I haven't done any scans yet. I haven't gone through any of my screens yet. I'm still just looking at what was on the overnight list for today, and I already talked about that one. Hang on a second here. Bear with me. I'm writing down NIO because I like that as a potential long. Omer, don't care about it. XNet. XNet, I kind of like. Although I traded this one today, kind of like, I can't remember the symbol now. And it quickly failed. Jane pointed this one out. Through the high, just an opening range breakout. I'm showing you 5-minute candles. Huge move 2 days ago, right? Topping out at 415. Quiet inside day yesterday. Then today, sellers came in. Sellers fail. Yesterday's high not far away, like a dime away. Loved this. And look at that volume that came in, but look at that nasty reversal. To me, and I said this in chat, this is telling us something. This and one other stock did this. And I was basically like, guys, let's slow our roll because, I feel like these really clean setups are failing. And I'll remind you, that the SPY was pretty weak this afternoon. A pretty nice close there. Anyway, and I didn't lose on that. Again, that's another example of getting long right here. It went up about a nickel. The second it came back down and looked at my entry, I'm back out. Yeah, it was a beautiful setup. Just didn't work. And the ones that don't work, there's just as much, if not more of a lesson there than the ones that do work, right? Couple questions. Let's see. Do you use ATR, average true range, when choosing your stock? I do, like on morning gappers. especially Richie morning gappers. If a stock's gapping in the morning and I look at the daily and the thing never goes anywhere, like its average daily range is 15 cents, unless it had like great news or something, I generally will dismiss it. So I do give a lot of weight to that when building my morning gap playlist. Let's see. So XNet, back to the daily though, especially if like Bitcoin gets going, because everyone started piling into anything Bitcoin, the old crypto list. Remember that? Everyone started piling into that. I usually use, even though it's over the counter, GBTC. Hang on, I actually have a Bitcoin chart here. These are 5-minute candles. That doesn't help me. Let's go to 2-hour candles. So this is Bitcoin. It is very rare that GSP checks Bitcoin. But when Riot's on my list, because of Bitcoin, and remember, Bitcoin had this big pop back here. Keep in mind, each one of these candles is 4 hours in length. So this is not a normal candle I would use, a normal chart I would use, while trading. But so you had this big pop back here, and then it flagged for a long time, and then broke that. And now it's kind of doing the same. I would point out this pop, and then this sell-off, this right here, these two candles are very indicative of how nasty Bitcoin can be. Now, I can't scroll on these charts. So anyway, but let's go back to 4-hour candles. I don't know why it scrolled over now. Let's go to 1-hour candles. Yeah, I don't know why. I can scroll it over. Okay. But after this pop, it's actually holding up fairly well. So after checking that, I don't know. Riot and XNet are still kind of interesting to me. And by the way, I love seeing people that talk about how much they spend all their spare time studying, and you hear a lot of people bash Tim Sykes. I actually have respect for Tim Sykes because he constantly preaches studying. He also preaches defense first. I had it out with him several years ago, but I actually have respect for him. He was an innovator as far as, he was like the first one to short the email pumps, and he made a killing doing that. So I have respect for him. And I don't think he would ever teach somebody to buy upside shape. And so whenever I see somebody saying, I spend all my spare time studying, I love that. I have a lot of respect for that, because that means you get it. You understand what day trading can give you, but just make sure that you don't treat it like a casino, right? Defense first, no matter what. Absolutely, Christina. Absolutely. So XNet, if Bitcoin takes off again or something, this is interesting. You had the pop. You got a couple days lower. I don't like what it did today. After the opening 10 minutes, I don't like that nasty reversal. But I'm going to put it on bounce watch anyway. Keep in mind, when I have something on bounce watch, my preference is that it breaks out in the afternoon anyway, right? And so you could argue that XNet broke out after the opening 10 minutes. But afternoon-wise, he didn't have any breaks. So I think it deserves a spot on the watch list. And I've got it on bounce watch. So let's see where I am here. All right, a few more. Let's go back to the dailies. Overstock. Overstock got kind of ugly today. Now, some might argue, hey, this is worth a shot, worth watching, because it's right back down into that, that area, that buy zone between the 8 and the 20. These are daily candles, but bounced off that area here, breakout here, and then right back down. So if you were interested in having overstock on your list, I wouldn't talk you out of it. I'm not going to, though. And then here's Riot. I don't know. I don't know. You had this move from 290 to 424. You had an inside day. You've got another inside day. It's absolutely interesting over 390, right? If it takes out today's high tomorrow, because then you've got the whole number 4. Then you've got 408. Then you've got 424. You've got the 200-day as a possible target, right? So it's interesting. But my problem is I don't really like it until it breaks 390, and it's all the way down to 352. So you're done like 40-cent move just to get to where I like it. Now, if it gaps up tomorrow, it's more interesting. I am going to put Riot on my list as a watch, but I don't really love it because of this red candle. All right, a couple more. FUV. Another example of I like these stocks that have been strong and then pulled back for a few days to break out in the afternoon. What did FUV do? It broke out after the opening 10 minutes or so. I never got an entry in that. Somebody said this was Jason Bond. Excuse me, which explains the big volume spike. So I don't really have an opinion on that. And Solo is the other one. Jason Bond jumped in this one at the open too. He's like trying to single-handedly run the electric vehicle makers. You know what? I'm going to keep them both on a monitor, but they're not going to go on my watch list. All right. HYRE is on one of my notes too. HYRE is a nasty trader, but a little bit of extra volume today, kind of a decent close. It's interesting over the half, a couple catalysts above. It's really holding the 20 pretty well. I kind of hate to do it, but I'm going to put HYRE on watch. Okay, so that is me going through my overnight list. Christina, I use TradeStation, but we have members that use every broker you can imagine. Wayne, my trading course partner, he uses E-Trade, Power E-Trade Pro. Okay, so that's the overnight watch list. And then, bear with me a second here. Back those out. By the way, I got something to show you guys. Did y'all see this today? This is STMP, which I think is what, stamps.com. Closed at 198.08. In after hours, this went down below 100. It lost like $100 a share. Here it is, after hours. Look at that. Closed at almost 200 bucks. And then ended up after hours at 102. That is crazy. Anyway, get after hours off there again. Oh, wait, there was another one too. Anybody remember what the other one was? There was two massive movers in after hours, and I think STMP was one of them. I can't remember what the other one was. Anyway, if you know it, let me know. Yeah, KHC. Yeah, thank you. Kraft Heinz. Look at that. Here's the daily. I'll go to weekly candles. So this is all of the trading ever in Kraft Heinz. Catch up, right? All-time lows, 41.60. Back in December 2018. And then closed it, I don't know, 48. Look at that, down to 38. So it's hitting all-time lows. Anyway, interesting, right? All right, so that is I go through the overnight list, and then what I do is then I start looking at recent high flyers. So I try to find all the big movers today. I'm looking at a scanner. CECO is one of them. I think that's worth having on watch, right? Didn't even see that one today. That's a big move, big volume for the stock. Still only 1.5 million. But you had the morning move, and it kind of just slowly flagging the rest of the day. And by the way, this is a perfect example of why we trade the mornings. Not that I was in this one, but look what happens after that first opening 10-minute run. Just a slow falling narrow channel. There's just no money to be made. There's just a channel, and it's tight. And that's why I always say you log in each day with a decent list, learn A+ setups, get involved, and that's where all your money, or 90% of your money, should be made. All right, ZSAN I already have on watch. IMDZ was a buyout. INFI. And I'm on the fence on this one. Nice volume, but still that big volume spike, only 1 million shares. A lot of times what I'll do when this happens, wait, that's not what I want. I'll bring up like FinViz and see if there was news in NFI and see if and check the float real quick, like I do every morning on Gappers. 55 million in the float, Biotech USA. FinViz doesn't have a headline, so who knows? All right, let me keep going. I don't love it, so I'm not going to put it on watch, but it certainly could be worth watching. GTXI, nice pop here on decent volume, but in after hours is trading at $1.03. So it's like this pop was completely negated. Look at that. So it closed at 151. So it looks like that's what it looked like at the close, basically. Look what it did in after hours. So whatever got this running near the end of the day, obviously was people said, yeah, you know what? That's not good news. So for that reason, I'm going to just move on, leave that one alone. ADIL, decent volume, closing well off its highs, but it's not near a breakout on the chart, so I'm going to leave it alone. PTX, I'm going to leave that one alone. So these were stocks that met my kind of giant movers today. And I have several scans I normally run, but let's see here. AAOCAR. Call it decent. This is Delphi. That's kind of interesting. So I'm looking up Delphi to see if it had news. 88 million afloat. I know it's a car parts maker, and fourth quarter and full year results, and that was pre-market. Strong earnings beat. So that could, that's a decent looking chart for a follow through day. Again, speaking of average true range, look at the daily candles. Look at them all. Like today was the biggest. Now doesn't mean you can't have a follow through day tomorrow. And I think it's worth watching. Closing strong. I'm putting that one on watch too. I like the lower price stocks, but I think that one's worth watching. Hertz. Whoops, I typed that wrong. Hertz. Not in love with any of those. Oh, hold on, Steve. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to show it to my wife in a little bit. Hold on. If you think I'm kidding, I'm not. I'm literally copying that. I'm gonna go show that to my wife. Thank you, Steve. That's really nice. Hang on here. BLRX. I already talked about that one actually. YRIV. Speaking of words of caution, you see this extra volume down here. All of a sudden, it's getting. I mean, that is one of the ugliest charts you'll ever see. There's a group of people on Twitter just trying to push this one. They've been trying to push it for like 2 weeks, hence the extra volume. And again, this may pop one of these days, but that is just an ugly chart. I'm not going to mess with it. So anyway, let me move it. So the next thing I do, I kind of look at the big movers for today. And this is probably the most important thing I can teach you tonight. If you want to do your own scans and try to find stuff to look for to trade the next day, is go back and look at the big movers yesterday, and then the day before, and then the day before. So the ones I'm getting ready to project are stocks that were big movers yesterday, right? There's KNDI. And a lot of times you'll find something that's worth watching. BLNK, OSPN, kind of interesting. The gap up, those people that shorted the gap up might fail tomorrow, but it's kind of not my favorite price range. You'll sell is why we don't, whenever you get a move like this, 3-4 days in a row, if you're a swing trader, if you don't sell, that oftentimes is what happens to you. ABIO, there's nothing there. IDEX. A little bit interesting, but not really. ADOM, already talked about that one. MRAM. This one's kind of interesting. Let's see. I don't know. It's so extended. See how high it is and how far away it is from the moving averages. So I don't know. It's a little bit interesting over this 2-day high, but it only traded 180,000. I'm going to move on. CL, I typed that wrong. CLSD. Okay, so now I'm going back to Tuesday. Remember, the market was closed Monday. I'm going to look for the high flyers, if you will, the big relative volume stocks on Tuesday. JKS, a little bit interesting. Big breakout right here. Sellers came in, and it's already curling back up. That might be worth a look. MX. Not too interesting. I already looked at RAI. I'm going to look at it again. SPN. OCN. SPN, actually, let me go to 15-minute candles here. Maybe worth watching. It's a little bit obscure, but I'm showing you 15-minute candles here, and you had the big breakout on earnings that topped out at 563, right? Then the day after hit 557, but never broke its early high. This was the opening candle, 15-minute wise. And then today topped out within the first 30 minutes at 526. So my favorite thing on a recent strong stock, maybe has broken out like SPN has, is an afternoon breakout. Well, you didn't have it the next day, right? It opened and put in its high. Today, it opened and ran for about, 20, 25 minutes before it put in its high. This is an example of, I'm actually going to put this on the list. Putting it on Bounce Watch. And, because of this big pop, right? You had basically an earnings gap and a couple days lower on smaller volume. And we're looking for an afternoon breakout in that, though. That's it. It's the only thing I'm interested in. SPN, not a big mover on any given day. OCN, too squinky. Again, I'm looking at the big movers from Tuesday at this point. A little bit interesting. You'll notice I end up looking at several stocks over and over because they keep making the list. Now I'm going back to Friday because the market was closed Monday. Wow. This is a thin one. All the way, oh my God, all the way down to 38,000 shares today. Now, see, this is a great example. Candlestick wise, love this chart, right? Massive move from a little over 3 to over 6 in about what, 3 or 4 sessions, then a couple days lower on declining volume. I almost think this is worth putting on a chart. But man, you talk about volume drying up. I think this is the one that Berkshire Hathaway executive in his personal account, right? I made that video the other day, bought this up, and now it's down a few days. I mean, I love this. I love the story. I love the chart, but 38,000 shares, like nobody's trading this thing. All right, put that in your notes. I'm not even going to put it on a chart. The volume's too low, but it's super interesting, except for the volume. I'm really having trouble with this symbol, CFMS. Yeah, it's a narrow day today. CUR. Kind of interesting, right? Big volume here. Topped out at 97, couple days lower, curling back up. I'm putting on watch. Possible, whole number inflection point. If this breaks $1, this could squeeze. Now, the daily range on it is terrible, but I still think it's worth watching. Let's see. Okay, I want to go back one more day. So now I'm going back a full week. Again, as a day trader, this is another thing I've learned. You don't want to go back too far, right? If something had huge volume 6 weeks ago, it's not in play anymore, right? If it's just meandering since then. So I try to go back about a week. Remember, I'm just trying to make money tomorrow. And so I want to focus on the stuff that's basically in play, the stuff that's traders are watching right now, or they've been involved in the past 5 or 6 sessions, right? All right, I'm not going back any further. I've gone back far enough. All right, hey, if you have any questions, I'm getting ready to, I'm going to be killing this shortly because I actually have to go take the list that I've just compiled and then make my watch list video to send out, to my subscribers or my YouTube subscribers. So if you have any questions, type them in now. I'm going to take a short break and I'll be back in a minute. All right, anybody have any questions? Had to go get a drink. Unfortunately, iced tea and lemonade. Been there, Doug. Well, I'm going to assume you got in like maybe at 3 or even below. Yeah, I know I've been there, but you could have got back involved. Couple places that, meet my parameters. I talked about one, right? The twos buy zone. First visit to the twos buy zone. What was your entry? 276. Yeah, I mean, come on. Did better than me. I didn't take this till it was 5. I watched it all day till it was right there. But yeah, think about this. Took a stock at 276 and sold it at 335. I'd be proud of that all day long. You can't, like there were other opportunities, and I understand how that feels, but still, there's people that lost in that. And, I told you, here, Electronic Arts. Today was the first, you know what? I might put this on Bounce Watch. Today was the first day I've traded it since my son told me about it on this day. He said, Dad, Apex Legends is replacing Fortnite. Everyone's going to Apex Legends. Fortnite's like history. And I said, well, I wish you'd have told me that on the gap down day, so I left it alone. And then from 84, it ran to almost 110. So then ever since then, I've been scared to get involved because I don't want to lose on the tip he gave me when I didn't take it down here. I took it today and lost 130 bucks on it. Here it is on intraday. I thought for sure when it was coming up here through the highs, it was going to break 99 and run at least to 100. And then I was back out, lost 100. I didn't take it big, but still. Yeah, I'm going to. Exactly, Richie. I need to put him on the mic. The hell with me. All right. So, again, I've got to go make a video. I'm actually considering, look at this real quick. Keep in mind, it broke its early high right after the first half hour. You guys know I love afternoon breaks. 4 days down in a row to touch the 20. I'm going to put EA on Bounce Watch against my better judgment. And that's my final list. Oh, by the way, next week, Wayne and I are going to do a webinar, giving you the first tip. We're doing a free webinar, I think on Thursday, and we're going to go over buying pullbacks. Okay? So if you're interested, save the date. And that'll be Thursday, I think. We'll certainly put out a bunch of notice before we do it. All right. I got to figure out how to turn all this off. All right. So thanks for coming. I still have to go make a video. Still have to take a shower. Awesome. And if not, it'll just land up on our free webinar page anyway. So you'll be able to watch it later. Thank you. Thanks for showing up. There's our free webinar. Does that link work? Yeah, it looks like it does. There's our free webinar page. I think we've got 9 of them on there right now. All right, guys, man, have a good night. Thanks for showing up.